Hello world! It's that month again, which means that it's time to review some horror media from today and from ages past. The film I'm reviewing today is Monster A Go-Go, and boy am I not excited for this. You'll find out why soon enough, but in the meantime, some background is necessary. Production for the film was stopped in 1961 due to running out of money, and the film remained unfinished for several years, until a new director picked it up and attempted to finish it. Many of the original actors were unavailable, and the story got mangled in the process. It has gotten a feature on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and the cast later agreed on it being the worst film that they had ever seen for the show. In short, this is going to be a bad one. How bad? Let's find out. Get your barf bags ready, and I don't mean that in the way you think. This is Monster A Go-Go. The film starts with opening credits that has some seriously out-of-place music and a list of all the people who are responsible for inflicting this train wreck on society. Also, I have no clue what guest star is supposed to mean since this is a movie. Is he in it or not?
What you're about to see may not even be possible within the narrow limits of human understanding.
True, this movie is pretty incomprehensible. Anyway, in the story, a manned pod is sent up into space to examine a strange satellite.
Satellites which no nation had launched.
You don't know that. It's entirely possible that a country launched it and then kept it secret. Anyway, the pod gets out of communication and becomes lost. Days pass and NASA sends out a search party for the pod. We see none of this, by the way, we're just told about it. I mean, who needs a movie when you have a perfectly good narrator? Actually, I don't blame them for the excessive use of the narrator since you can barely understand any of the other audio anyway. Seriously, listen to this.
This is Connors. Come in, Patrol 2.
I've spotted something. Looks like it might be our Australian.
You don't need that, Private. We're right here. Now, what is it?
Manos had better audio than this. The men in the car get a distress signal from the guy in the helicopter, who's at the crash site of the once missing rocket. They arrive to find the helicopter man dead and the astronaut that was on the rocket missing. Once again, this is mostly just told to us by the narrator. Meanwhile, Mr. and Mrs. Not Stated tell the astronaut's sister, I think, the news.
Just that we don't know whether the radiation repellent worked or not.
Oh, I know I shouldn't feel this way. It's his life.
Yes, because truly it's very irrational to care about the well-being of a loved one. Then her son comes in just to leave again. The three go to the crash site to try to piece together what happened.
I've never seen anything like it. He's shriveled up like a dried prune.
No, he's not. He looks fine. Why are you lying to me?
But it didn't touch his hair or his clothes.
Or his skin. There are also unexplainable burn marks in the ground. Since nobody knows anything, they just decide to leave. At the lab, two scientists discuss how the helicopter pilot was literally cooked to death by radioactive energy. But the energy didn't come from the rocket. It was something else, which burned both the pilot and the ground. Later, two people who look sort of familiar, I guess, go to the airport to meet somebody else who I guess is important. And now is the time to bring up the biggest problem in Monster A Go-Go. The shaky cam. There is no reason why the camera had to move around so much, and it might also be something wrong with the film itself, but there are short bursts of movement all over this movie. Often, it looks like the camera is attached to an actor's head with an invisible frame, and it's not just a little shaking, it almost seems to warp and twist.
I pulled Chris off a vacation to come down here with me.
There are little moments like that all over this thing. They make the movie hard to watch, and by that I mean watching this movie literally hurt my eyes and gave me a headache. After a pointless conversation, the three leave. A strap falls and nobody notices. I'm sure that doing a second take would have just been far too much effort. Cut to a bunch of people at a house party. Two people go to a car and make out while the narrator waxes philosophical about nothing at all. Oh, and at any scenes that take place in this location, you can hear a dog barking in the background. As a woman gets annoyed and leaves the car, something walks up. Oh no, a tall guy. The man dies, and the scientist, soldier, policeman, whatever, show up to look at the scene. The guy is dead in the same way that the helicopter pilot died, but the girl is alive.
I think she's all right, General. She's in shock. Good. Let's get her
She's
right back.
all right. She's in shock. Just let that sentence sink in. They take her to the car and drive away as suspenseful music plays. It sounds like something is going to happen, but it never actually does. Anyway, wait, I don't even have to tell you what's going on. The narrator does it for me.
Dr. Logan, puzzled by the laboratory analysis, made his own exploratory trip back to the landing area. His theory was proved right, and it was proved right so unexpectedly and so violently that he never lived to record it.
Yep. So the scientist guy walks around until he's killed by a pretty lame excuse for a monster. The missing astronaut's probably sister and one of the scientist, engineer, who cares, whatever, are having dinner at a restaurant while the movie tries to make the viewer sick. This film has become an acid trip. Did the film reels get exposed to radiation as well? They go to the crash site when they hear about the newest death. Will you cut that out? Anyway, funniest moment in the movie in 3, 2, 1. By the way, this dead body twitches as dead bodies often do. After one of them looks around and finds nothing, they talk some more. Are those wires?
What do you think?
What are they even holding up?
Maybe you better drop me off there. All right. If we can find out what brought him to this particular place, we might have something to go on. Good idea.
Wait, you don't know what brought him here? I thought that this was the crash site. Is it not? It looks like it is. What the hell is going on? With no answers, we cut to movie number 2, the part made up from the scene shot years after the first part of the movie. The story was hard to follow already, and it only gets worse from here. Mr. Man-Person is getting filled in about the situation, and after some discussion, they go to the lab and talk to the dark-haired woman from the beginning of the movie, finally stated to be a lab assistant. She gives them a status report on the corpse.
Did you run a blood count on Taylor?
Yes, we did. Actually, there was no blood. It had all turned to powder, and we think that accounts for the shriveled effect.
You think. You mean you don't know for sure. Anyway, they theorize that the monster is actually the astronaut originally in the capsule, the one that disappeared. Apparently, he had been taking injections that would help him withstand radiation. Things like that sort of exist, I guess, but not to the level that they talk about in this movie, that's for sure. The logs show that the astronaut may have taken more of the magic radiation medicine than he should have. They go to the dead scientist's brother to get some answers. By the way, the brother is actually being played by the same actor as the dead scientist, but he looked different enough after 4 years that they were able to cast him as somebody else. I can't tell if that's really clever or just really lazy. Once again, long story short, the astronaut got double the dosage of magic medicine because that would provide extra radiation protection, even though they tried it on an animal with bad results. The animal could withstand more radiation, but it also became twice as big and was so violently radioactive that it killed everything it touched. They were able to come up with an antidote, but it eventually killed the animal. They never specify when the animal test happened, so we got two options. Either the scientists gave the astronaut an overdose with no idea what would happen, or they knew it would be a disaster and did it anyway. How did people this stupid get hired by NASA? Wait, actually, no, this guy hasn't even begun to do stupid things. When the lab assistant leaves, we find this out. He captured the monster, how and when is never explained, and is hiding it in a storeroom, just barely keeping it under control with massive overdoses of the antidote and tranquilizers. And he never told anybody. Do I even have to explain how dangerous, stupid, and irresponsible that is? And surprise, surprise, the monster escapes.
Everything used to make the antidote was in wreckage by the time Logan returned. Any chance that might have existed, any hope that sufficient antidote might be compounded to have a lasting effect, all this vanished with one sweep of the monster's arm.
Wow, good thing we have such intelligent, responsible people protecting humanity. Dr. Stupid calls for help and is appropriately scolded, only to be immediately forgiven. If I were his superior, I would have him fired, if not imprisoned. The monster scares some people, and the lab gets a call about it. Wow.
Ring, ring.
Was it really that
Ring,
hard
ring.
to get a sound effect
Ring,
of a
ring.
phone ringing?
Ring,
Was
ring.
dialing a
Ring,
number...
ring. Ring,
Wait,
ring.
I have to get this.
Ring,
Will you quit
ring.
yelling ring? I'm trying to review a movie here. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. This actually happened, people. Anyway, the theory is that the monster's radiation death zone gets bigger as time goes on. That means that it could potentially kill everything in a 50-mile radius. Once again, thank you, Dr. Stupid. They need to kill the monster, so they set out to destroy it. But first, we need a scene of two characters who were never in the movie before, do nothing plot relevant, aren't killed by the monster, and are never seen again. So, to sum up, the movie just wasted 3 minutes of the viewers' lives. The monster goes to a big city and kills a bunch of innocent people, so the scientists need to work fast.
Nora, how long would it take to mix up 3,000 cc of the antidote?
Not too long.
Everything used to make the antidote was in wreckage by the time Logan returned.
3,000 cc of the antidote.
Not too long.
Any hope that sufficient antidote might be compounded to have a lasting effect. All this vanished with one sweep of the monster's arm.
Not too long.
This movie doesn't even have consistency within the parts that were filmed at the same time. They come up with a plan to kill the monster, and everybody goes to the city for the final showdown. Oh my gosh, this is actually giving me a headache. And it gets worse a few minutes later. I would recommend for anybody who has ever complained about the shaky cam in the Hunger Games to check this movie out. They finally corner the monster, and then comes the most notorious moment in the film.
As if a switch had been turned, as if an eye had been blinked, as if some phantom force in the universe had made a move eons beyond our comprehension. Suddenly, there was no trail. There was no giant, no monster, no thing called Douglas to be followed. There was nothing in the tunnel but the puzzled men of courage who suddenly found themselves alone with shadows and darkness. With the telegram, one cloud lifts and another descends. Astronaut Frank Douglas, rescued, alive, well, and of normal size, some 8,000 miles away in a lifeboat, with no memory of where he has been or how he was separated from his capsule. Then who or what has landed here?
Oh my gosh, that is the dumbest, laziest, most pretentious middle finger of an ending that I've seen in a long time. I hate this movie. And you know why? Because this movie hates me. It's worse than Manos by a long shot, that's for sure. Well, now that that's over with, Halloween month can continue. I'll see you all next time.